All right, belated weekend. Welcome to week four. This week we are covering chapters 11, 12, 13, and 14. It's a lot of material to cover. So we've also got the midterm examination to go to take this week. So let's make sure that we're, covering this material carefully. Remember, there are study guides and PowerPoints, at least for this midterm point. The PowerPoints may become fewer and far between, a lot more. A lot less detailed because I'm getting to the point where I'm chasing not very far ahead of you guys. So this week we're going to learn about the ways and means of national security. We're going to talk about the role of diplomacy and other aspects of soft power as national security assets. We're going to try and get to the point where we develop our analytical ability to discuss the relationship between economic strength and military capability, how the one translates into the other. And then we're going to evaluate the role that the military plays in national security and the evolving role of conventional warfare in national security. So in each of these chapters, there are really important concepts that we want to look at. Obviously, we talked about the idea, the contrast between hard and soft power. We're really looking at both dimensions of power in this week's readings. We're going to talk a little bit about the role that diplomacy plays, the idea of a two-level game. If you look at the Iran nuclear deal, you can really get the sense that on the one hand, the Obama administration was pushing an international response that largely had a consensus among the major power actors. But at the same time, the domestic aspect of that deal, he simply wasn't able to persuade Republicans to sign on to it. Chapter 12, this idea of carrots and sticks, the fact that we can, on the one hand, offer lots of inducements to change foreign governments' behaviors, but then we also have very powerful sticks in terms of what we can compel people to do. Chapter 13, the notion that, again, that we are evolving in terms of our use of military power, the fact that over time the United States has become much more coercion centric in terms of how we behave towards the rest of the world. The notion of traditional versus dynamic disruptive threats that's a contrast that's very important for you to be aware of. The Weinberger Doctrine, the fact that Reagan administration Secretary of Defense advanced this, six-pronged test for when the United States should use military force, kind of distilled into what later became the Powell Doctrine, and the extent to which that really did for a period of time constrain the U.S. Willingness to use military force. And then Chapter 14, the idea of conventional warfare. The revolution in military affairs, sort of an apocryphal idea, this notion that technology can transform the battlefield and give one side or the other a decisive advantage. A lot of people in the Bush administration believed in that idea, that the United States had achieved this revolution. Whether that's still the case, because increasingly now we're seeing other countries use drones. One of the reasons why the Biden administration recently launched air attacks against Iranian-backed Syrian, military assets, was they were using drones to attack military, U.S. military assets. So this week, again, we have the forum, we have the quiz, and then we have the midterm examination. The midterm covers a lot of ground. Make sure you're very on top of the material that we've covered to this point. It's 14 chapters. I realize that's a lot of material. So let's mind our P's and Q's and be organized in our study this week. And let's have a great week.